Welcome to Sports Guy Talking. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am joined by guest Holden Douglas today to talk about Gonzaga basketball as they are once again in contention to win the national title. Gonzaga currently has a 28-5 record overall as they are dominating college basketball again. However, Gonzaga has never won a national championship in their history. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. Will Gonzaga finally overcome their March Madness struggles?
I'll kick that off. I mean, I'm a huge Gonzaga fan. They've been my college basketball team for years. And when you said we haven't won any titles, that hurt a little bit. And this year, I don't know if we can overcome the struggles. The thing about our team is we can score. We have guys that can score, led by Drew Timme. We just have guys, they can put the ball in the basket. There's straw weather. We just are so well-rounded on offense where that's not the issue. The issue is, can we defend anyone? And truthfully, I don't think we have the athletes to defend someone. Where in March Madness, offense can come and go on certain days. Where there's some days like you could hit go 11-11 for threes, make everything, your offense is balling. But for 6 games in a tournament, defense is what's consistent. And if you don't have a strong defense, I don't think we can overcome the struggles that we've had before.
Agreed. When you look at Gonzaga's offense, they are as good as anyone. Their offensive firepower is unquestioned. Everybody knows about Gonzaga's offensive powerness. You look at Drew Timme, he's putting up almost 21 points a game, putting up over 7 boards a game. So we know that he's an effective player for them. You look at Strawher, he's been a pretty good player for them as well. Watson as well. You got Bolton, you got Malachi Smith. Gonzaga, when you look at the players, they have it. The question is though, can they overcome their struggles? I'm not so confident that they can go ahead and do that. You know why I'm not so confident about that? Because Gonzaga, what do every year? They always put up an elite basketball team on paper, and every time they have to go up against an elite team, sooner or later, they're going to melt. That's just the reality of the situation. It's kind of like in the NFL with the Minnesota Vikings, where they got talent year in and year out, but they just fall short and underachieve. That's what I see happening with Gonzaga.
Dude, you really had to come at my NFL team too. But I totally agree with what you're saying. Because if you look at all the teams that have eliminated Gonzaga from March Madness, if you look at Baylor, Texas Tech, even Arkansas last year, it was a versatile team where it's like their guards are really big. They also have their bigs that could switch with the guards. And when we go against teams that are like scrappy on the perimeter, it's really tough for us just because we're more of a polished team. But when we have a bunch of people that are just thrown on us, it really wears us down. Offensively, we could get in a little bit of a bad rhythm too. And also just because those teams, they play so quick that we're not used to that, where teams that play quick against us, it's gonna expose our defense, because defensively as a whole, that's our biggest flaw. And when you go up against a team that likes to run, they like to make it a track meet, they like to get up in your face and play defense, it's gonna get tough because we might get ran off the floor.
And here's the thing with Gonzaga too. You look at the competition that they play year in and year out. They're not necessarily playing against future playoff caliber teams. When you look at Gonzaga basketball, their schedule is honestly a piece of cake when you compare to some of these other teams in March Madness. You look at some of the best teams in March Madness, some of the best conferences. Where do they all come from? They come from the ACC especially, and they also come from the Big 12 as well. And by the time that Gonzaga is playing against those guys, they are not really prepared because they don't get that preparation in the regular season. When you ask Gonzaga to go up against an ACC team, when you ask them to go up against a Big 12 team, they're not going to be prepared because they're like, whoa, what's this kind of intensity? We're not used to this intensity, and it's kind of hard for them to simulate that year in and year out because they're playing against easy teams year in and year out. So when you look at it from that perspective, that's a big reason why Gonzaga always struggles in March Madness, and everybody wonders why, because they're always like the 1 seed, the 2 seed. They're always favored to go deep into the tournament. I think they always seem to be the team that's on upset watch, and they end up leaving the tournament sooner rather than later, and it always seems to boggle everybody's mind. Nowadays, when you look at Gonzaga, they're basically the team that you expect to bow out early.
Yeah, like I totally agree with you on that. Because with Gonzaga, what we do is we have a tough out-of-conference schedule. So we'll play a lot of Big 12, SEC, a lot of people early at the beginning of the year. So it's like we get the tough guys then. Then towards the middle, outside of St. Mary's, no one really challenges us. No one really like puts a lot of pressure on us. So it's like when we're in the WCC, like we're pretty much on cruise control. So it's like we start off with a lot of competition, then we go to cruise control, and then it's like by the time you hit the tournament, it's like, hey, like it's back up to that competition. Then it's like, oh, we gotta like shift it into gear. Where I totally agree with you on that, where it's like a lot of like Power 6 schools where it's like you get tough teams all the time, where it's like you could be like the third best team in the Big 12 or in the Big 10, and it's like you can still be a threat in the tournament solely because like you were challenged so much in the season, where it's like you have that battle mentality when you get to the tournament. And with us, I mean, just the cruise control, like we just have such an easy schedule that it's like, oh, we gotta like flip it back to 100, that it's hard to like make that change when you go so long without having to play that.
Yeah, when you look at Gonzaga, their regular season schedule, like I've said numerous times throughout this video, I've said that their schedule is a piece of cake, and honestly, that's the problem. When you play regular season college hoops, what is the purpose of playing regular season games? It's not to low manage, it's to get you ready for March Madness and get ready for that intensity, get ready for that grind. And that's the problem with Gonzaga. They don't have that tough stretch in the middle of the year where they have to battle it out and they have to say, okay, we got to get through that grind so that way we can be in good position for March Madness. All they got to do is beat the WCC opponents, basically. And let's be honest, a lot of those teams, they're not going to be facing them in March Madness. That's why when Gonzaga goes up against a team like Baylor, they're like, oh crap, we're not ready for this competition whatsoever. What are we going to do? We haven't seen a team with this kind of intensity. And it's even harder for them to replicate that in practice and in the regular season games, because there's no team in the WCC conference that plays like a Baylor, like a Texas Tech, like a Michigan, like an Ohio State. It's just so hard for them to simulate that. So when you look at it from that perspective, that's why Gonzaga, they're always going to lose year in and year out when it really matters most. All right, let me go ahead and wrap up this topic with asking you with this final question. All right, so where do you see Gonzaga finishing? What's your prediction?
Honestly, I see a Sweet 16 exit. I think we can win a couple games like solely on our offense. But then I think about like the Sweet 16, if we face a team like a TCU, or not so much a Marquette, but like a TCU, someone who could just get our offense at least a little out of rhythm. And then it's like, okay, like we took away your offense. It's like, now it's like your defense has to stop us. And I think around that Sweet 16 marker, I think that's when our team's defense is going to get completely exposed. So I say Gonzaga gets out at the Sweet 16, and this is coming from a huge fan.
And I'm going to agree with you 100%. I think that they're going to get knocked out in the Sweet 16 mainly because their defense is unreliable. Yes, they've got a high-power offense, but in March Madness tournaments, offenses come and go. However, what always stays with you is the identity of your defense. And Gonzaga's defense is far from great. Their defense is going to end up disappointing, which is going to set them an earlier exit than what they should be on paper. I'm going to say Sweet 16 exit as well for Gonzaga. I do think that they have a really good offense that should be able to last them in the round of 64, last them in the round of 32, but it's not going to last them in the Sweet 16, therefore eliminating them in the Sweet 16. So that's what I got happening. All right, well, Holden, thanks for being on the show, man. Appreciate you coming on here. All right, make sure you follow his Instagram accounts. He's got 2 of them. You follow at Holden_great and at sports.analyze. Make sure you guys go ahead and do that. The links will be in the description box below. Again, thanks for being on the show, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. I mean, I like talking hoops, man. It's dope.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. See ya, bro.
Peace out, man.
Yup. Bye. That was Holden Douglas that you guys just heard. All right, so he's going to predict a Sweet 16 exit for Gonzaga basketball in March Madness. I'm going to 100% agree with him. I'm going to say a Sweet 16 exit will happen for Gonzaga as well. They got the offensive firepower, yes, but their defensive firepower is a major concern. Their defense is not going to be able to hold up against some of these better teams in March Madness. So that is why Gonzaga will not be able to finally overcome their March Madness struggles this season. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the at Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Dustin Tran and at Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter at Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.